Istanbul's chandeliered Congress Centre is a long way from the grit and chaos of Somalia. But over the next 2 days, this is where the country's future will be charted. The transitional government in Mogadishu is due to end in about 80 days. This meeting is to work out what happens next.
We want to coordinate our efforts to discuss the issues related post-transition particularly, but in the meantime helping the current process be end timely.
That has been notoriously difficult in the past, but the Turks believe they're changing something fundamental. For more than 2 decades, the international efforts to deal with Somalia's security and humanitarian crises have been based out of Nairobi. It's become known as the Nairobi Axis. But in the last 12 months, Turkey has become the single most important international player inside Somalia. They're hoping that this conference represents a new way of thinking, the Istanbul Axis. The Axis started to shift when Turkey's Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan became the first foreign leader to step foot in Mogadishu in more than a decade. But the challenges are still immense. With the help of African Union peacekeepers, the government is expanding its control. But the fighting with rebel militias continues to tear apart infrastructure and communities. And even though resilient Somalis are rebuilding as soon as it's safe, the government has no ability to provide the most basic services like police or water and electricity. Still, Somalia's Prime Minister says Turkey's engagement has already made a difference that's eluded the world's diplomats for 20 years.
Every year, $1 billion is spent in the name of Somalia, through the UN, through international NGOs, but no substantive change on the ground has taken place. The Turks, for example, now, the amount of money that they raised last year was less than $400 million, but they already have changed the landscape in Somalia.
More seasoned diplomats say this conference could create more problems than it solves, but there is now a set of circumstances we haven't seen before in Somalia, and that might just change things for the better. Peter Grester, Al Jazeera, Istanbul.